Hey everybody, about to get this room spun up and we're gonna get this community call started. Hey Joey, how's it going, man?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good. Just
Sweet.
gonna...
Dude, holy shit, congrats on the tokamak reactor. You guys
Yeah,
crushed
thanks.
it.
Yeah, it was touch and go there for a bit. We fell all the way down to eighth last night, and then our community here all rallied and really made it happen together. It was quite awesome to watch.
Yeah, I'm literally wearing a tokamak t-shirt right now. I'm kind of sad that Tribe's not in there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, maybe we're gonna have some toke to vote next time, so
So will
maybe.
we, dude. We put $50 million into the ETH pool, so we're gonna have some toka too.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was kind of
Yeah,
surprised that your guys' offer didn't gain more support, to be honest. I think if I was one of the voters, you definitely would have swayed me.
if it was a bribe, definitely would have worked.
Oh, okay, yeah. 100% would have worked as bribe, clearly. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, really quick, we'll get started here in a moment. I'm just going to ping the whole channel with the notice about to start. All right. Is Brianna joining too?
I think so. She's just getting off of a call, so let me ping her and see what she's up to.
All righty. We'll give her like 1 minute or so, and then we'll get started here.
Anyone else from the Shapeshift M? Oh,
We've got a
lo-fi
few
beats.
people that I think, oh yeah, are always the lo-fi beats.
It's a little loud, but it's pretty.
Yeah, we'll put it off stage in a second. Yeah, we've got a few people I know from our treasury committee, Danielle and a few others that are definitely going to hop on stage. We'll give other opportunities. Put that down for now. Give other opportunities for people to come up as necessary. Hey Danielle.
Howdy. Yeah, I figured we'd let you take it off, John, and follow your lead, and then you could call maybe our whole committee up and we could do some questions.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, let's do it that way. And then, yeah, definitely partway through. I know a large part of this meeting will be talking about this liquidity as a service potential collaboration. So definitely want you all in that. All righty. Well, I think we can just kind of go ahead and get started. Joey, as soon as Brianna hops in, I will invite her up. And we can go from there. But maybe we can just give a quick start with you kind of introducing yourself and FEI and Tribe as a project. I think our community would just love to hear more.
Yeah. Hey everyone. Thanks so much for having me. It's you guys have really blown up recently, and obviously Shapeshift is a very old project, but a very new DAO. So it's kind of cool to see kind of the unique position that you guys have, and your community is awesome. Congrats on the tokamak reactor again. I'm the founder of FEI Protocol. I got into DeFi in 2017, super technical background, learned Solidity, and just like went super deep on a bunch of protocols. I ended up working in enterprise software during the bear market, and then I was like deeping into a bunch of crazy protocols and had the idea for FEI in October of 2020, so a bit over a year ago. And I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna quit my job, build in DeFi. And yeah, it was a pretty incredible journey. Obviously, it's had its ups and downs. The launch was pretty chaotic, but you know, we really put our heads down in like June, July when the market was kind of quiet, and came up with FEI v2, which like fixed a ton of the problems in the protocol. And the mental model for FEI is basically it's a giant asset-backed reserve that's fully decentralized and on-chain. So it's a kind of a super powerful. You can think about it like decentralized USDC almost, and like one-to-one redemption and some really cool algorithmic mechanisms for maintaining a healthy reserve ratio. I'm happy to go deeper on FEI to the extent that it won't like bore everybody, but the details are it's a very exciting. V2 is going to be a huge upgrade for us, and our community is super pumped, and we're really pumped to work with you guys.
Yeah, that's
Bree
awesome.
can talk a little bit about liquidity as a service in a bit. She could also introduce herself, but
Yeah, let's
um,
have Brianna introduce herself, and then after that, I do have I think our community would be interested in learning a little bit more about FEI and how it works. But yeah, Brianna, please go ahead and welcome to the stage.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much for having me. So I guess I'm Brianna. Joey actually reached out to me when I was working at Consensus Diligence. So I was running their audit operations. So I was able to see a lot of young entrepreneurs that were coming to the crypto space, building really cool projects. And that's kind of how we got connected. I worked there for a few years and then teamed up with him in January about last year. So really excited to be here today. Thanks for having us.
Awesome, and we just got Nathan up on the stage from Ondo, who's going to be part of our kind of second half conversation here. Nathan, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. So I have a background in traditional finance. I worked in private credit originally. Did a stint at a crypto hedge fund in 2018, and then most recently I was at Goldman Sachs on the digital assets team doing really everything crypto or blockchain related for them. So certainly a lot of work on the security token issuance space, and then come mid 2020 on the institutional crypto market infrastructure side. In February of this year, founded Auto Finance. We're building a decentralized investment bank to connect capital suppliers with capital utilizers through an integrated suite of on-chain services. One thing that we're doing is creating these structured products that aggregate DeFi yield from various venues and decompose them into these low-risk fixed tranche and higher risk variable tranche exposures. And then I guess as we'll talk about later, one of the use cases for that is what we're working on with FEI and the liquidity as a service space to help projects issuing their tokens increase their liquidity without resorting to things like liquidity mining.
Heck yeah, thanks for that intro. And yeah, we're excited to get into that topic here in a few minutes. Before we get into that, back to kind of where you started, Joey, I'd love if you could just give a little more of an overview of FEI and like how the pegging mechanism works, like how, and I think that underwent some changes. So it would be great to get some historical context on that, but specifically, like how does it differ from, a USDC or a DAI in terms of being a stablecoin?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really, really deep concept, and I've done like some talks on like differences in algorithmic stable coins and other stablecoin mechanisms. Basically, the TLDR is that FEI as a sort of a raw concept has always been to be like a scalable, on-chain, decentralized stablecoin. So like different from say a MakerDAO, which has over collateralization and user-based vaults. FEI has always been like a protocol controlled value based. So what that means is that you can always buy FEI for $1 worth of assets, and then those assets are used to back the peg. So it's really a question of like how the protocol can efficiently manage the assets, the risk in the protocol to defend the peg, and that's like the high level vision of FEI that's never changed. From FEI v1 to FEI v2, we've undergone some like differences in the mechanism, and it's been a very fluid evolution. Even though you have this like hard naming of v1 and v2, there's been a lot of upgrades that we've released in the last couple months to really get to where we are now and to prepare for our big v2 launch in about a month. We'll be finalizing the new feature set on December 15th. And yeah, sorry, you unmuted. Did you have a question or?
Sorry, I thought you were done talking. My bad.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. So to drill down a little bit more on the differences. So obviously it's not like MakerDAO, which is over collateralized by vaults, by debt positions. It is more of it's more of like an IOU based mechanism where you put in $1 worth of assets, and then you can redeem it for $1, and that could be a different asset. So you don't maintain your price exposure like in MakerDAO. When you make a vault and ETH goes up, you're happy. But with FEI, if ETH goes up, the protocol is happy, and you still have $1 worth of FEI. And the way that the big problem is like, how do you manage volatility risk on chain? Because if we just wrapped USDC, that would be really boring. So, and actually like the big value proposition for FEI is decentralization. So right now the protocol is about 75% backed by ETH, about 15 to 20% backed by other stable coins, and then the remainder is like other volatile assets like DeFi Pulse Index and some governance tokens. So the way that FEI v2 will manage that risk is two ways. One, Tribe absorbs the volatility in the collateral. So it's somewhat similar to like a Terra-based mechanism or a Frax-based mechanism, with the caveat that FEI targets a full collateralization ratio of exogenous collateral. What that means is that like it's all assets that are outside. So it's like ETH and DAI and LUSD, and it relies as little as possible on Tribe itself as a source of backing. And that's really important because we think that like backing with your own token, while it's really convenient, is not as secure as backing with an asset outside of the system. So FEI aims to be 100% collateralized by external assets, sort of as a default. And then if it goes under, Tribe is used to kind of recapitalize. And that looks very similar to the way that some of those other protocols work. In addition, the asset allocation dynamically changes based on the collateralization ratio, and that's using Balancer v2 managed pools. So there's some really cool collaboration going on with Balancer right now to really help make that mechanism kind of click and be very sort of fluid and efficient on chain. Hopefully that wasn't like too much detail on this, but yeah, like happy to double click on anything.
No, that was actually super helpful for me. I'm yeah, if anyone in the audience has questions, I'll let them kind of type that in the stage chat and we can get to those. But that really helped me understand it better. So am I understanding correctly that like basically I could come to the FEI protocol today with some ETH and I could just mint a bunch of FEI at $1 ETH each at whatever the current ETH price is? Is that a basic understanding of it?
Exactly. So FEI, you can always buy it for $1 and you could always sell it for $1 worth of something. And what you get and what you put in can be different at different times depending on market conditions, but it's usually going to be some external asset. Sometimes it's going to be Tribe. It all depends on kind of like the market state, kind of a high level.
Super awesome. Well, one thing I want to, before we get to the liquidity as a service conversation here in a few minutes, I'd like to talk a little bit about Rari. You all, well, and there's a couple things on this front. One, you all had some big news that I want to get to today that I saw from Jai, a tweet just like a few hours ago about a potential Rari and FEI merger. So I'd definitely like to hear about that. But before we even get to that, you guys were one of the first to seed our Fox and Friends Rari pool that our ShapeShiftDAO controls. I'd love to hear more about, just kind of what goes into that and your relationship with Rari so far and how that works. And like, even that's been super exciting for us. It's really helped us get our pool off the ground. So we're super appreciative of you all doing that. And we'd love to learn more about like, what you look for in these pools and even like, maybe how we could even potentially work with you guys to even increase the capital in those pools as we move forward. But yeah, we'd just love to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is obviously like really huge news and a very, interesting proposal that has broad implications for DeFi. We're, really excited about it as a core team, and we're super excited to jam with our communities and really, figure out what the best way to go forward is in our relationship with Rari, which is a really good one. Rari and FEI both have a very strong tilt towards DAO services. They're just products that are oriented for DAOs, like Fox or like the Shapeshift DAO. And so really like we encourage every DAO we talk to make a fuse pool because it's just like such an easy way to get utility for your token. And then if the pool gets verified, then FEI DAO can seed up to 1 million FEI into the pool. And so it's kind of a great product market fit for both Fuse and FEI because we can like DAOs can kind of get capital efficiency against their tokens, and FEI gets utility sort of from this natural demand from these long tail assets that aren't going to get on Aave or Compound anytime soon. And we think that's like a really beautiful fit. And there's a lot of really great integrated products that we can build with Rari. And this is something that our teams have great synergy on and is a big driver for this proposal. And yeah, like I don't want to over focus on the proposal because really like right now, definitely want to kind of focus on how Shapeshift and FEI can work together. But naturally, if this merge does go through, then obviously you get a deep relationship with Rari, who becomes part of the Tribe family. And yeah, like it's all positive sum kind of at the end of the day. And really exciting to see like new DAOs kind of getting utility and using FEI, and it's something that we care a lot about.
Super cool. I mean, I kind of feel like, I mean, especially if this merger happens, but even without it, that like FEI should kind of become the like most capitalized or most used stablecoin on something like Rari, I would hope. I mean, obviously it's great that it's permissionless and open to all these things, but I'm curious if there's like anything in your mind, like for example, the Fox and Friends pool could do to increase that FEI liquidity, like anything that would attract further FEI from your community to like be deposited, and or is there any like any way that the DAO is interested in seeding past that initial 1 million?
Yeah, so I think that like in general, we have this proposal that we recently put out that passed called FIP 39, which authorized any verified pool to get new FEI, as well as, and we might have to pare that back a little bit depending on like the threshold for verification in the future, given the Vesper pool recently. But in general, yeah, like you kind of already hit the max for that proposal, but the proposal does also stipulate that if the utilization is really high, you could get a re-up potentially. So if we see that borrowing demand for FEI is super high, you could petition for more FEI, or if you have like grander plans for the pool, definitely like make a proposal. Our community loves it when other communities reach out and ways that we can grow together. So I think it really is up to like what you guys are looking for and how you can kind of bring that to the tribe community and see where we can work together.
Awesome. That's great to know. And just, you're helping inform me and, and teaching the whole DAO community how some of this works, because it's still pretty new for us. And I think the DAO community is just getting used to us having this Rari pool. And we're actually now in pool 6 too, because Tetranode added us. So, but I think we would be interested in helping increase the capital in that pool. And so it's good to know that like as utilization goes up, because that was one of my concerns, is like if it all gets utilized out, that should hopefully attract capital via a higher deposit APY, obviously. But I would love to work with you all, or us as a community work with you all to keep increasing that. So it's great to know that we could like make a proposal to talk with you all to do that.
I can't share too much alpha right now, but we're working on some other very, very cool ways to help with this problem. So that's enough. That's enough for now. But in general, yeah, like if utilization's high, definitely come propose and ask for more FEI if it's not getting organically filled.
Very cool. Well, we won't push you too hard on that alpha, but now I'm excited to learn when it's time. All right. Well, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about this this kind of opportunity that there is between FEI and the ShapeShiftDAO for this kind of liquidity as a service offering that you all are offering in partnership with Ondo. I'm going to invite some of the members of the Treasury and Diversification Committee up on the stage. I'm trying. So Danielle, Kent, because this is something I know they're considering.
Brianna, you should definitely take this one.
Please feel free. Yeah, so Brianna, as we get started and I invite them up, maybe you could just give an overview to the DAO about what this is, what it means. Then we can kind of let the committee dive into some questions and commentary on this.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess leaning into like the DAO to DAO ethos that we have is like FEI is really just optimized to create these partnerships with different DAOs. So just to add on to like what we are doing with Fuse is we have liquidity as a service. So we partnered up with Ondo Finance. So they provide a structured product where we can put FEI in the senior position and then we could put Fox in the junior position. And it's a pretty easy way to double your liquidity, earn the trading fees on the pair. And you're also going to get tribe rewards as well. So for this group, it's it's part of the DeFi 2.0 conversation, and it's an alternative to the other two. It's actually a complement as well. So you can, I know you guys are doing some with Tokamak as well. You guys are doing pretty well there. So this is just another alternative and an easy way for you to actually have revenue generating for your token for Fox paired against FEI.
Yeah, super cool. And I know that the DAO's been talking a lot about these DeFi 2.0 options. And I actually just saw you all talking about this in a tweet about a week ago. And then we started talking with you all. And it's really cool that there is this opportunity in FEI doing this kind of liquidity as a service. Danielle, Kent, Professor McCarthy, anything you want to talk about on this or discuss or ask the FEI team or help illustrate this potential opportunity to the rest of the DAO?
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, Team FEI and Nathan as well. So kind of looking ahead, we've been sort of vetting the idea here that Willie presented from you guys. It sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the initial phase would last 3 months. And I don't see any reason to think it wouldn't be a success. Assuming it was a good fit for both parties, what would be a logical next step after that successful 3 months? And kind of a related question, is there already an example of similar collaborations that have gone on for longer periods of time, kind of longer standing collabs?
Yeah, so I can take that one. I mean, maybe just taking a step back first to talk about like how the actual workflow works to make sure that we're all on the same page first. So right now, look, our vaults are each built on top of a single liquidity pool. So in what we're proposing, we're discussing creating a brand new liquidity pool that would be, for example, a FEI Fox liquidity pool on Uniswap V2. And upon creation of this liquidity pool, we would create an auto vault on top of it, where, as Brianna was saying, FEI would invest the FEI stablecoin into what we call the fixed tranche, and Shapeshift would invest the Fox token into what we call the variable tranche. And then our protocol would combine those two together and deposit them as liquidity for initially what would be a 3-month long period. At the end of those 3 months, our vault would withdraw that liquidity, pay back FEI their original FEI plus what would amount to a 5% APR interest rate, and then pay back all of the remaining assets to Shapeshift. And so we would, and that in that final step, we would swap FEI and Fox for each other as needed in order to give back investors what they're owed. And so one of the things we have to solve for, and this sort of gets to your point of what does the longer term roadmap look like, is we have to make sure that there is enough liquidity left in this brand new pool of FEI Fox in order to be able to do that redemption at maturity. So what we're proposing is in 6 to 8 weeks time, we start creating new vaults that would invest into the same FEI Fox liquidity pool. And these new vaults will be of a slightly different type. So they will be our perpetual vaults. And what these do is they take proceeds at maturity of a vault and automatically reinvest them in the same block in another vault with the same terms. And so the amount of assets that are traded at maturity of a perpetual vault is much, much lower, right? We only trade so much as is needed to service redemptions that choose not to auto renew effectively. And so, yeah, starting in 6 to 8 weeks, we would spin up a series of, probably 1 to 2 month long perpetual vaults. So you would invest in each of those. And then once the initial 3-month terminating vault matures, then all the liquidity would be, automatically managed through these perpetuals. And, you would effectively be earning, 2x economic leverage on the underlying net yields from the pool, plus, which, specifically means 2x leverage on the income from trading fees minus the impermanent loss. And then you would get on top of that, as Brianna said, the tribe rewards, which are on the variable tranche token specifically.
Thanks for clarifying there. 2 more questions. How does Ondo stand to profit from this? Or are you guys sort of relying on the governance token model? So kind of what's your business model? And then also, how much total liquidity is in the Ondo ecosystem right now?
Sure. So we launched a little over 3 months ago with vaults on top of already existing Uniswap V2 and SushiSwap liquidity pools. We kept caps on all of the vaults during this sort of trial period, just to let the smart contracts get battle tested a bit more. I think we processed, $65 million of assets into these vaults through that. I think amounted to a little over a 2-month long trial. And then we just wound down the last of those vaults a little over a week ago. And so we're getting ready to redeploy all of these vaults with these caps that we did during this beta guarded launch removed. So this would be, we're basically getting ready for the launch cohort of these liquidity as a service participants. The smart contracts on the Ondo side are the same as they were for the vaults that we deployed, during this guarded launch. The only difference is that we're deploying these vaults on top of these brand new liquidity pools against FEI that we will make for each of these participants.
Gotcha. And then does Ondo itself take a fee?
Right. Sorry, I forgot that part. So right now, no. We're effectively following the governance token model. We're planning to create a DAO, and certainly the tokens will constitute nothing other than voting rights to control that DAO in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else on the Treasury Committee have a question here?
Yeah, I have a question real quick. Thank you guys so much. Great presentation. It seems like a win-win all around, especially with the kind of initial terms. I guess I'm just wondering, just if we could kind of back up. I'm looking at the rollout of the V2, and you guys, you have a capped annual inflation rate, but then it also seems like it's largely demand driven in terms of the supply for the coin. So I guess if you could just touch on exactly how that is working, and then also on the PCV Guardian, the trustless way to move around those funds in times of need.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take this one. So your first question is around the tribe cap.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some really interesting like long tail edge cases around like reflexivity in the case of like a huge market liquidity crisis. So like hypothetically, let's say that there's a bunch of FEI in circulation and a bunch of that FEI wants to redeem at the same time as a market downturn. Protocol is like slightly under collateralized, but as people redeem, that gap gets wider and wider, your classic bank run. Well, what happens in that case is that tribe is inflated to kind of recapitalize. And what we really don't want is we don't want this to kind of cascade and have like holders kind of lose faith and everyone sells. So there's a lot of like important mechanism kind of like features to the cap that allow people to have some peace of mind. I think one of the big problems with the Iron Titan hack was, one, that they were under collateralized by default, two, that they had like crazy tokenomics, but three, and probably the biggest part, was the Oracle, which kind of incentivized this like front running of the inflation, which caused everyone to kind of sell and inflate at a worse price and sell, and the price kind of cascaded down to zero. So the cap is at a super high cap, like, it's the fully diluted valuation can double in a year, which would be insane. Like if there's no price impact of that, that's like $1 billion. And having this cap means you're not going to inflate to infinity, and that gives tribe holders like a worst case number in their minds that can set them at ease so that they don't go panic sell. And this is really like for the worst case scenario, like there's other mechanisms that hopefully prevent an inflation event from even happening in the first place. This would be the balancer smart pool algorithmic reweighting. This is a super important component to V2, and also provides some additional like safety measures to reallocate into other stable assets, in particular assets like RAI and LUSD that are extremely trust minimized. This is another important component. So it's all kind of there to kind of protect tribe holders, protect the protocol, protect the peg, and try to balance all the risks. And then your second question was, can you repeat the second part of the question? Actually, it was about the PCV Guardian.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So this is honestly like a much overdue piece of infrastructure. Essentially, right now, there's a Guardian for FEI protocol that's only capable of pausing individual components and vetoing governance proposals. That's pretty much it. So it's extremely trust minimized, and basically, I think that it's a tricky balance to have a decentralized protocol and be able to be very secure in the event of some kind of issue, because at the end of the day, if you have a proposal that's undergoing a protocol that's undergoing active development, you can be extremely careful, but even the best, MakerDAO, Compound, SushiSwap, they've all had very serious vulnerabilities. In fact, the only protocol I think that I know of that hasn't had one, like a serious one anyway, is Uniswap, and that's because it's totally immutable and pretty small code base. But Compound, MakerDAO, SushiSwap, they all had like huge issues in some form or another. And so I think it's really important to have recovery mechanisms that can act quickly, but also aren't so powerful that they can really harm users. And so FEI has very broad but very specific guardian privileges. But the current guardian privileges aren't strong enough. They can't move funds around. And what if there's a PCV deposit that's vulnerable? Like if we had caught wind of the Cream vulnerability before the hack, we could have saved our protocol a couple $1 million. And so the way the PCV Guardian works is that tribe holders can vote on a whitelist of targets of like deposit locations that are safe. The Guardian can withdraw and move PCV to the whitelisted locations. This means that the Guardian can't like rug anything, but it can protect in the event of some kind of security disclosure because of how many protocols that FEI is integrated with. It's a really important piece of infrastructure, and we designed it in a way to be sort of decentralized and trust minimized, but also like very practical and security oriented as well.
Thank you. Yeah, excellent.
My question just kind of surrounds the mechanics of the time frame. I think if you see in the stage chat, our own rewards, liquidity rewards that we're providing right now, obviously this is, I think, what did you say, Willie? Updated calc is that this program would be 38 times more efficient, for us. So I think one of the big things for us is like, this would be a great way to trial this and be able to maybe decide not to do those rewards and do these types of rewards. So what happens after this initial period, and what are the mechanics of moving forward together afterwards?
Yeah, so for the initial launch group, we're going to have the vaults ready this coming Monday/Tuesday, just depending on a few loose ends that we're tying up here. So if you're ready by then, we can move forward there. And then I think Willie actually put together this really awesome chart that showed like the cost of liquidity mining and how much cheaper it would be potentially with doing this as well. I don't know if you guys are planning to bring up those numbers at all in this call, but I thought that was pretty interesting as well. But again, we're flexible with you guys. We can, whenever you're ready to go, we can go. So
sorry, and then it's a 3-month
yeah, so it's going to be 3 months, and then it will turn over to the perpetual vaults if we both deem it appropriate to.
Okay, nice. So I love that too. That we're not that we're kind of committing to trial period with each other, seeing how it goes, and then the community kind of can have at this crossroads in 3 months. Do we want to continue these rewards? Do we want to continue the other? So I think that's another really beneficial part of this partnership.
Yeah, for sure. We're very flexible. So whatever's going to work best on both ends.
So if we did move forward into that, past the 3 months, we decide this is working well, we want to do this in the perpetual vault. What exactly does that mean? Does that mean it would just stay deployed kind of forever, or like how does that work?
More or less, right? I mean, I think that the whole idea of liquidity as a service is, we believe liquidity mining itself is not sustainable and leads to, unwanted continuous dumping of your token over time. And so liquidity mining is great to like bootstrap distribution, get some liquidity outside of protocol owned liquidity. But in terms of like what we see as the long-term sustainable solution, like it's folks who, once they can, accurately forecast, or at least have some historical data to forecast, what the expected and permanent loss may be, like they can start to see some data around the volatility of the Fox token with respect to ETH, and they have some idea for what the income from trading fees is on these underlying pools, like and that this may include your own treasury, can make effectively investment decisions around, how much to allocate. And you'll find like an actual steady state equilibrium around like the right amount of liquidity in the pool, right? Like the goal is not necessarily to have the maximum amount of liquidity possible. Like there's a cost to providing liquidity. In the case of AMMs, it's impermanent loss. But I think that the equilibrium will be found, in a sort of a suitable way without these rewards.
Cool. Thanks for that explanation. Super, super fascinating, and definitely something we're interested in. I know one thing that might be worth, I'll just kind of throw this out there, and Kent, Danielle, Professor McCarthy, you all can decide to what degree you want to go into this, or maybe it's better suited for the tokenomics conversation after this, is like figuring out the right amount to start with from the Shapeshift side. So I think you've all said a lot of the projects are starting with 5 million, but that we could go as low as 1 million. I guess the question is, what are the kind of advantages or drawbacks of different sized allocations?
So I guess it would be less tribe rewards for less. So the way that we structured the tribe rewards is per 1 million. So it's about 10,000, give or take, per week per 1 million. And that's capped to the first 50 million of participants that are participating in last. So it's, if you're going to put in more and be part of that first 50 million, you're going to get more of that like subsidy through the tribe rewards. So that would be one of the benefits. And it also just like, if you're just like thinking about liquidity in general, you're going to have less liquidity if you're going to do less, and then more so like slippage, trading fees, all that stuff too. But it's really up to you. It's your call with how much you want to do.
Great. Yeah, any other committee members or anyone in the audience even, any questions on this whole idea? I know we're going to be discussing it more, so I think FEI team and Ondo, you will hear more from us, relatively soon on what we're thinking. But yeah, curious if anyone has any further questions or comments on this. I think it's super cool, personally. All right. I think I've given that enough of an awkward pause. I think we're probably pretty good on that subject. I guess I know you all are going to be announcing this soon, Joey, Brianna, Nathan. Any more information you can give us just on a high level about this service, or like any other projects? If you can leak any of that alpha that are going to be planning on this, and if you can't because you're saving it for the announcement, that's fine, but might as well ask.
Yeah, so we have a few that are pending governance voting right now. So I'm just trying to think if I can say the names. I feel like I don't want to jinx it right now, if that's okay. Yeah, we're going to have the announcement coming out, though, very soon.
You're definitely our favorite.
For sure.
I'm sure you say that to all the DAOs.
Definitely. No, definitely not. But yeah, we really are excited to work with you all. We think it's a great fit for the Fox token. It fits pretty well with the Fuse pool too, because you get immediate liquidity to, lever up potentially for like, the big believers, and it kind of pairs well with, with Fuse. So
Yeah.
I did ask this question in a smaller group, but I think it'd be good for the larger group. With it being on Uniswap, it's like it kind of just fits with what else we've done in the past. And the liquidity part, I guess it's not really a question, but anyway, the liquidity part, we have the 0x integration. So it automatically, we get access to this liquidity on our platform, or at least that's how I'm thinking of it. John, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is my understanding. Is basically like a new pool would be stood up on Uniswap v2 in addition. So like this is actually really cool in that the only stablecoin pair that exists in a pool right now for Fox is on the XDAI chain, and it's we just did that token swap and joint liquidity provision with HoneySwap, so there's a little more liquidity there, but it's still pretty small. There's not really any stablecoin liquidity on mainnet right now. So this would provide, ample more stablecoin liquidity, and just like you said, Danielle, basically through the OX integration that we already have through Shapeshift, it would basically route through that protocol whenever it makes sense to do so. So if people are trading in and out of various stablecoins, even if they're not FEI, that's the cool part. It's like someone could be trading in and out of USDC or USDT or DAI or something, and the fact that that extra stablecoin liquidity exists should lead to less slippage and more liquidity on those type of trades. So it's really a huge net benefit, even to those who are trading through the ETH pool.
Can you explain that about the different stablecoins?
Yeah, so basically, like what happens right now, and this is my loose understanding of this, to be fair. Like if you go into OX right now, if you go into the Shapeshift app and you try to trade, say, some USDC for Fox, what's actually happening is there's multiple trades going on. It's routing USDC to ETH, where the best liquidity for that is, and then it's making a buy of ETH to Fox, since the Fox pool is only Fox and ETH. Similarly, if you were to sell Fox for a stablecoin, the same thing's happening where you're being actually routed to different various pools. When FEI Fox exists, there may be basically, for lack of a better term, less hops you have to take to get into the stablecoin or out of the stablecoin that you want. Because FEI is a stablecoin itself and can generally be traded one-to-one for other stablecoins, it allows for more efficient, basically, potentially from a gas perspective, but certainly from a cost and slippage perspective route for those trades. Correct me if anything I'm saying is wrong, Joey or anyone else on stage who understands this better than me. I will take that silence as an sense of.
Can you? I was a little bit distracted. Can you repeat the very high TLDR? And I can
Yeah,
quick confirmation.
No problem at all. Basically, Daniel's question is like, what is the advantage of when you have like an extra stablecoin pool on something like Uniswap V2 that sits alongside the ETH pair that we currently have? And basically, my layman's term explanation is that it can allow for cheaper or more effective routes, like because there is no real stablecoin pair for Fox right now. So it's always relying on that ETH liquidity. But when a stablecoin pair exists, it can allow for more effective routes, even if someone is trading like in and out of USDC or something like that.
Yeah, so it does a couple things. One of them is that because stablecoin routing is much cheaper. There's 1 basis point fee tiers on most stablecoins, so you can you can save up to at least 30 basis points on the trade just because of that. As well, more liquidity is just like better net trade execution for your holders. And the other very interesting dynamic that's playing out in a big way with Tribe right now is that whatever pair your token is against, that affects the price dynamics of your token. So Tribe is primarily paired against FEI, and it's an extremely stable governance token compared to other similar tokens because it doesn't have that implicit beta with ETH. So, for any of you like hedgers in the audience, if you want to buy something that's not correlated with ETH, Tribe is not, if you look at the chart. And so by having more stablecoin liquidity for Fox, you'd be dampening your ETH correlation as well, depending on the relative amount of liquidity.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about that aspect, but that makes a lot of sense. Does that answer your question, Danielle?
Yep, absolutely. And I know that that's important and something that's been out there, not just, for the community, but definitely like contributors to the DAO, people who are getting paid in Fox. And so thinking about them and them having cheaper fees, quicker routes into stables when they need it, I think is great.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, we've got about 15 minutes left. Certainly open if anyone else on the committee has anything more to talk about this, or anyone on the FEI or Ondo team wants to talk anything more about the liquidity as a service program. But I think we probably have a pretty good high level for the community to discuss and hopefully figure out what we want to do on this. But I'd like to open it up to the community if anyone has any questions about anything we've talked today, anything related to FEI and Tribe, to Ondo, to anything around the Rari pool, or this liquidity as a service mechanism, or anything related to this, please either type your question in the chat or raise your hand, and let's hear from you while we have the time that the FEI team and Nathan from Ondo have so generously given us.
Thanks so much for having us. Yeah, definitely down to take any questions.
Heck yeah. I see Tyler is typing in the stage chat, so I will give him a second to see if he has a question that we can talk about. I guess while I'm waiting for that, Willie, since you were the one to kind of help facilitate this original idea, if you want to come on stage, or there's any other color or questions you want to ask, love to hear from you too.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't take too much credit. Definitely a lot of credit to the FEI team for making this a really compelling opportunity and making it really easy to explain it all to us and to move quickly. I think this is a fantastic opportunity. I know we all know the how expensive the current liquidity mining program is, and I know there's been a lot of interest throughout the community to wean ourselves off of that, and so it's very timely that this opportunity presents itself. I think it's a great opportunity too, just for us to further our relationship, build a relationship out with FEI, which is an awesome protocol and an amazing community. And like we've heard on the call, there's even more opportunities for us to work together beyond this. And you know, the fact that you guys are also now considering a merger with Rari, who we're also close with, is just you know, more confirmation that this could be a great, fruitful relationship. So yeah, I think this is an amazing opportunity. I'm grateful that the Fox token community has this opportunity available to them. And yeah, to me, it seems like a total no-brainer. So as soon as I heard this, I was like, this is almost too good to be true. But I totally see how this can really help Tribe and FEI achieve the broader mission of just making FEI the top stablecoin. I think this is a brilliant way to do it. So, and you know, DAO to DAO relationships for the win. We've already seen how powerful these can be and how quickly we can move with these. So I look forward to, I guess I also look forward to not even necessarily having to vote on this. This is a great opportunity for the Treasury Management and Diversification Committee to be able to act on this and to not have to be beholden to the governance process, because with the time sensitivity of this opportunity, if we were to just start with the proposal today, even we would not be able to have it ratified in time to make it into this launch. So appreciate the Treasury Management Diversification Committee coming together to consider this, and appreciate the FEI team coming. It was good timing that we already had this scheduled so that you could share this with the community so that we can hopefully move quickly with this awesome opportunity.
Yeah, we're equally very excited. And I guess I'll end on this note. Like, what we've found recently with FEI is that while like MakerDAO and DAI is kind of like a stablecoin for consumers, FEI really is a stablecoin for DAOs. And so seeing this like product market fit with other DAOs is truly awesome. And we're really excited to growing the relationship with the ShapeShiftDAO.
That's a great point. I love viewing it that way. We do have one question from Tyler, our operations workstream leader here at the DAO. He said this is actually for both FEI and the committee, but to just read what he wrote, he said, "This call has made me feel great and moon fumey, but are there any serious downsides the community should be aware of if we decide to move forward here?" So that's really for anyone on the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a super important call out. So I would say that echoing what Willie said, it does sound too good to be true. And the only major drawback is impermanent loss, really. There's a little bit of reflexivity to consider regarding the way that vaults carry over, and your DAO would be incurring impermanent loss. So I think that however you model it, it's probably going to work out to be way cheaper than your current program. But that's a really important call out, is that there's no free lunch. Like, impermanent loss is the main sort of drawback that you want to really model out and pay attention to. But Nate's got a phenomenal data team, and so do we. And so we can help you kind of make an appropriate risk-adjusted decision here. And net, it's still like a great offering, and we think it has pretty substantial product market fit over existing liquidity mining programs. So that's the main call out that I would answer for that.
Cool. Anyone from the committee who wants to bring up anything or any concerns you think that the DAO should be considering or you're considering? Cool. Well, awesome. That sounds, this whole thing sounds super cool to me. And I guess one thing I'll just kind of call out as a comment here is just, again, Willie put this well in the stage chat, but the efficiency of something like this. If we think about what we're doing right now with our kind of classic liquidity mining program that'll run through the mid-February, we're emitting all this Fox to people giving liquidity, and that's great to some degree. It gives us better liquidity. It gets Fox into more of the hands of our community, and it provides a great staking opportunity. Those are all great things, but the cost to the DAO treasury is super significant, and especially when you factor in things like the price rise we've seen in Fox the last few days, which has been odd to see amid the rest of the market downturn over the last 24 hours. But regardless, as a DAO, we should generally be long our native token, and the more of it we emit, the more of that opportunity cost we're giving up. One cool thing with this liquidity as a service program with FEI is that the fee that we pay, which is already significantly smaller any way you shake it, is ultimately paid in FEI, a stablecoin. So like the volatility of if Fox goes up 10x or something, we don't end up paying 10x more. Right now with our current liquidity mining program, we would. If Fox went up 10x over the next 3 months, that actually means the DAO would have paid out that much more value for that, each dollar of liquidity. With this liquidity as a service program, we know exactly what the cost is going to be in a stable asset, FEI, and that's all the cost will ever be. So to me, that's a super cool part of this. All right. Well,
one other thing, I guess it'd be good to ask this while we're all together. So Danielle just posted some numbers to put into perspective how much of the Treasury Management and Diversification Committee's overall 60 million Fox budget, if the proposal passes, would need to be allocated to this program. And it comes out to about 12% of the total. And so part of their decision-making process is the opportunity cost of that Fox and what else it could be put towards. One idea, and I'm curious if this is possible, is that perhaps the TM&D committee could fund the first 3 months of this program, which includes the tribe rewards. And then if we want to continue this program with or without the tribe rewards, then that could be a decision that would just be up to the community and would not, and then the 12 million or the 7 million Fox, that 12% could be returned to the Treasury Management and Diversification Committee at the end to allocate to something else if they wanted to. Would that be possible with how you guys are currently planning the transition between vaults?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely possible and would work if that's what you guys decide to do. Totally fine.
I think that's a really good idea, Willie. I think, especially if it's, say, going to replace our other liquidity rewards program or something like that, like using this as a trial period, using our own trial period with the Treasury Management and Diversification Committee, and kind of doing it together. And then it's like, okay, yes, we do recommend that we do this more long-term and we put up its own proposal and we take from that other bucket. I actually think that makes a lot of sense. So good idea.
Yeah, so I think what I would suggest here is that we just make sure that we set a follow-up like 6 to 8 weeks out. So if that's the direction that we think we're going to go, that we can just like plan ahead of time so we don't hit any disruptions throughout the way. I think it would just be good to have those conversations earlier in the process just so we can plan ahead for that.
Yeah, and we might not even have to bother you guys with that as well. It might just be something we can kind of in our own accounting deal with and take care of. But yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of make a general comment here, kind of aimed towards the committee itself, but also towards the community, is like the way I view this, and this may just be me, I'm just one member of the DAO, but that allocation that we're giving the committee, which I think is appropriate to start, I kind of view this as like, personally, I would love to see the committee more or less put our assets to work. Because otherwise, this is only a small part of the overall Shapeshift treasury. And in my opinion, putting, even up to $5 million of Fox into FEI, what you're really doing there is you're putting it to work. You're not selling the Fox. You're not like trading it for some other asset even. You're taking an idle asset and making it active and useful for the community. And so I think that's super admirable. And what I would love to see the Treasury Committee doing, that there'll be some decisions where you do want to diversify or even trade Fox. But a lot of times it's just about putting our Fox to work. And to the degree that you all, let's say over the next 2 or 3 months, you all allocated out that 60 million Fox, but it was really, effectively being put to work on behalf of the DAO. I would see that as a mandate to give you all more Fox personally as a community member. So I don't want you all to be too shy about running up against that limit, because to me, that's a sign that you guys are, actively doing good things for the treasury.
Yeah, it's so true. We've already blocked off a large amount of the treasury that we're not allowed to touch. So this part that we have, hopefully will be given access to, yeah, should be put to good use. So good point.
Awesome. All right. Well, Brianna, Joey, Nathan, any closing thoughts here in the last few minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like re-echoing what I said before, we're super excited to partner with you all, and like FEI has a very strong DAO focus, and Shapeshift is one of the most like DeFi native and OG DAOs out there. So super exciting for the collaboration.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Really excited to work together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for the time, Faye and Ando. This has been great. And, again, we're already so excited for everything we're doing on the Rari side. Very excited to learn more about your guys' potential merger with them. We'll definitely be paying close attention to that and finding other ways we can work with both of your communities, or might become one community. And this liquidity as a service offering just sounds super cool. So we'll be talking more about that, and hopefully, if it makes sense, moving forward with the DAO soon. So thanks again for your time and all your contributions to the space. And yeah, I think that's it.
Anybody wants to take a break, but then we'll also meet back here in a few minutes to continue the chat tokenomics office hours. So see y'all.
I'm just going to say we're going to bring Lo-Fi Radio back. She's a little loud right now, though, so if it's too loud, you can right-click her and turn down the user volume. Thanks, everybody.